Hello, Brick Sculptors, and welcome back to Brick Sculpt. This is Chris, and today we have an exciting new episode of Help Me Brick Sculpt. That's right, we have a question here from Jeff. He needs our help, and let's see what we can do. Jeff says, "Hey Chris, I love your channel." Thanks, Jeff. I am a very new mock builder trying to recreate the Stratford Inn, or more specifically, the main set for the 1980s sitcom Newhart. Never seen it, but that's okay. I can Lego it anyway. Here's a somewhat zoomed out pic of the Stratford Library. And here's a pic that focuses on the grand staircase, which is the part I've started with. Right here. Obviously, they dressed the setup a bit in between scenes. I did notice some differences there. We'll talk about that in a second. The thing I wanted to ask about is the wood paneling. Is there a good way to get that effect in my build? I experimented with SNOT and vertically placed tiles, but then getting the tiles to fit in the angled space under the stairs was not going well. My most recent attempt is by using the 1x2 modified log bricks, and that's turned out a little better, I think. How would you approach this? By the way, shout out to you for your staircase banister technique. Candlesticks for the win. Awesome, that is my staircase, one of my staircase banister techniques. Appreciate you using that. Jeff McClone. Okay, so let's take a look at these pictures real quick. There are a few differences between these, and the first thing I noticed is in this one, they have paneling down here, and then green up here, and then paneling and this angled green. In this one, it's all paneling down here, and up here, it has that green angled. The upper part looks the same, but there's a lot of fun things I could pick this apart with and play with, but we're going to focus just on Jeff's issue here, the paneling. Now, I'm going to give a solution for this section here, because I can't make this video too complicated. This part you can figure out on your own, but all the things I do here will apply up here as well. And if you need help with that angle, that could possibly be a separate video, because I did work out a way to do that too, but I can't fit it in this video. All right, so we need to get this paneling down and make this staircase. Now let's look at his build here. He used these log pieces, which I do think is probably the best look for this if you're doing just a traditional bottom-up approach. No SNOT technique, nothing real fancy like that. I don't think you're going to find a piece that looks much better than that. There's not a lot of good Lego pieces with vertical lines, so you probably have the best solution right there if you want just a more simplistic bottom-up approach. Can we make this more detailed? Yes. I'm going to show you how. You may like my solution. You may hate it. Just depends how complicated you want to make this, because it is going to get pretty complicated pretty quickly trying to SNOT this. For those who are not super up with Lego lingo, SNOT means studs not on top. And let me show you kind of how I work through this here. Looks like in this picture, now it might just be a bad picture from studio or a bad printing of a picture. It looks like it's made out of one of the nougats, either light or dark. But I think tan is definitely the best color to best represent this. That's what I'm building with today. And I would not use nougat, but I think it might just be a bad picture. So let's go ahead and take a look, and let's build this lower section of paneling. Let's bring a base plate in here. All right, so this is what he used in his build, and this is just these log pieces. Sorry about the dirty hands. I worked on a particularly dirty bike that was very mistreated today, and it hasn't really come off yet. I got to work on that a little more tonight. But anyway, so that's what he used in his build. And honestly, I think that's probably the best solution, again, for a bottom-up approach. I would use this piece, but as you can see, the lines go the wrong way. So I would use it like this. And that's going to make things very complicated very quickly. In order to do that, you're going to need a very thorough knowledge of SNOT and LDU. And LDU, I mean Lego draw units, increments of bricks, because when we start measuring sideways with pieces that are meant to go bottom up, we need to account for the difference between the width and height of a brick. So the height is obviously 3 plates. Everyone probably knows that. And 3 plates, 8 LDU each, is going to be 24 LDUs. The width is 2.5 plates thick, which is going to be 20 LDUs. So we have a lot of things to account for when we SNOT this wall, but I do think that that texture is very, very, very similar to what we see in these pictures here and in spacing and everything. So I think that's going to be the best look, but it is going to get a little more complicated. So let's go ahead and dive in here and show you how I would approach that. So the first thing I did was I mimicked his stair pattern here. And I basically just built this. And whatever happens on this side doesn't really affect what's going to happen here. So these will obviously be longer or however he wants to build it. But we have to have that profile right in order to build underneath it. And so this is just a stack of 2x4s stacked with 1x4s to make stairs. So that's where we started. Now when we do this, this profile is actually not going to work. We want to maintain this color pattern, but this profile is not going to fit. And again, that's where our LDU comes in. There's going to be certain spots where it's just a little too high or a little too low. So we're going to have to incorporate some pretty complex things to make that work. So here's a revised version, and this is the one we will actually use. I am going to do 2 versions of this too to show you 2 different options. But you'll see a few things here. I have some spots where I have no tan underneath. I have some spots where I have an extra tan piece underneath. And I have some spots where I have brackets. Now the bracket comes in handy because it is a 1/2 plate thickness. This portion back here is going to get buried and not be used. So it's just going to hide in the staircase. But that little edge there is going to make up our 1/2 plate thickness, or 4 LDU, to help us get the right stair step. Because now, if I didn't have this here, this would be 16 LDU. We need 20, so we have to add 4. So now this is the height of a width of a brick, which is exactly what we need. And so we have those in here too. If you want to try to mimic this, I would pause this, but wait till the end because I had to do a second version of this you might like better. So the next thing we're going to do is we need to support this wall because we're going to build underneath it, but we're going to build in SNOT, which means none of the studs are going to attach to anything under here. I just have to SNOT underneath it. So I built a supporting wall here, and this is just going to fit underneath this. And you just use it to mimic the pattern. Wherever I have the brackets, I have a tile so that the bracket just fits flush on a tile and everything else just sticks down to studs normally. So now this is supported with or without the paneling. And this will hide nicely underneath the staircase. You don't really have to worry too much about this being in the way or being seen. It's just going to hide under the staircase. We're only going to see the facade that we put on the front here. So now I'm going to show you how I build the facade. And it's a pretty particular order of parts. I'm going to start with a 1x2 tile. This is a stack of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 1x2 bricks with that masonry pattern. Obviously we're using the paneling side. And that's going to go underneath here. Now I'm not going to put it in until the very end, but you can see where that would fit in underneath there. So let's build the whole wall and then we'll install it. Next I have a 1x3 plate with a 1x1 tile right there. You can see how that would line up. Next we have 2 more 1x2 bricks. And then we're going to do a 1x4 brick. On top of this, we're going to have a stack of 2 plates, 1 tile, just like that. So there are going to be some spots that don't have the perfect pattern, but overall I think it looks pretty good when we're done. So bear with me here. And you'll notice this gap, we're going to talk about that at the end. But let's just go ahead and finish up the wall, and then we'll talk about all the gaps and things. 2 more 1x4s, 1x1 tile. And then here we have 6 long, 3 bricks high, or wide in this case. 1x1 tile on top of a 1x1 plate. 2 more 6 longs, but we're going to bump it up 1. The thing that really stinks about masonry bricks, and I know every Legoer on earth who's ever used these has had this complaint, they don't do odd sizes. They do 2s and they do 4s. No 1s, no 3s, no corners, and it makes it a pain to build with these because you can't fill in down here. Don't worry, we'll talk about that in a little bit, but we will have to make a kind of workaround because of that. And this last layer, we're going to have 8 long, 1 tile, 1 plate, and that is our profile. This will fit very nicely right up in there like that. Now, we still need to do some work to this, obviously. We need to connect it, number 1, and we need to have it sit on something. So, sitting on something, real simple, I'm going to put a layer of tile down. Now, I do assume that in your build, you don't have a floor in here yet, but I assume you're going to have tile or plate, or probably tile, on the bottom there. So this will boost it up and make it flush with the floor. On this very end slot, we need something to hold it. And that's where I have this. This is just SNOT pieces alternating every other. The reason I alternate them is because you've got another wall right here, so you could do the same technique coming outward, which will be easier because you don't have the staircase. And that should attach it here. So we can slide that in. It fits like a glove, and we can attach it with our SNOT pieces. So it's locked in now. Get you a closer up view. I think it looks pretty good. Now, obviously we have these gaps down here. If you're going to use this method in this way, you're going to have to deal with these. And there's a couple different ways you can do that. The simplest one is take bricks and just fill them in. I don't love this idea because these bricks obviously don't have the pattern. So it isn't going to look the greatest. But it is one method of fixing it. The second way is to put a piece of trim. Now, I didn't get too deep into how I would do this. You could possibly attach it to the bottom also if you got creative. But here I have just a piece of tile on 2 SNOT pieces. These are 1x1 SNOT bricks. And you can find the right places to plug this in where you can attach it. You can also put a brick back there to get rid of that little gap. And you could give it a baseboard. So that would be ways you could do that. Now this, I didn't dive too deep into how to cover that up because I don't think this is the best way to do it. It's close, but it's not perfect. And let me explain why. I'm going to build one more over here. Now, in your build here, you didn't put this on any sort of Mills plate. And I would highly recommend, if you are going to use this wall method, to put it on a Mills plate. Mills plates have so many advantages, but my favorite advantage and my favorite purpose for using them is negative space. Having the ability to build below the floor level is super, super helpful, especially when you're working with things like this that only come in even numbers. You can hide all these gaps underneath the floor. So let's do the same thing over here, but with a Mills plate. And we're going to build it pretty much the same. This profile is the same. I just have it boosted up a little bit here. So it's a little taller on the bricks, because then I can make each of these steps go lower and hide beneath the floor. So there's our start there. And let me show you how we're going to build the bricks for this. We're going to start with a 3 long tile. And I have some pieces under that are going to sit underneath the wall for support. You'll see in the end how it comes together. It actually works out really nicely. And I've got 5 bricks here. It's the same profile as over there. It's just going to go lower. Here we have a 4 long plate with 2 tiles on it, 1x1s. Like that. 2 4 long bricks. I do have a solid tile, a brick here without the pattern, but you're not going to see it. 4 long brick. 2 plates, 1 tile. 6 long, 2 wide, 1 tile. 6 long, 3 wide, 1 plate, 1 tile, and then 8 long, we're going to put a tile underneath and a tile on top. This and this will make more sense in a second here. And then one last step, 8 long, popping up above. 1 plate, 1 tile, and that is our wall. It's the same profile as here, just taller. But this gives us the advantage of being able to sink this below a mill's plate. So here we can take the same type of attachment and put it on here. And underneath, let's see if I can lay this flat here. Here's what I came up with. So I just used a series of bricks, plates, and tiles. I have a couple of headlight bricks in here because that gives you a half plate distance. So it gives you 4 LDU. I have one here, here, and here. And this profile fits beautifully with these. So it almost locks it in without actually attaching it. So you can see those, it's not going to shift side to side. It's going to sit at the right height and it'll all lock in place. So that's what we're going to put underneath it. Just like that. We'll put this on at the end and then we can just dock this in there. And look at that, just fits like a glove. And then we can take our SNOT pieces on the end and attach it. And it's already pretty well locked in, but with the mills, another advantage of the mill's floor is you can completely lock this in. I've got a little mill's floor made up here. We just have a brick layer, a plate layer, and then I did put tile on there because I'm assuming you're going to use tile. You wouldn't have to add that extra layer if you don't want. You just might need to mess with your heights a little bit here. But we can now pop this in here. And now all that mess is hidden beneath. So you don't have to do the baseboard method. And this is 100% locked in because it cannot move in any direction, which is super nice. It can't go left, right, fore and aft, up, down. It is fully surrounded, locked in, and you have a paneled side to your staircase. Well, I hope you found this useful. Again, if this is too complicated, I totally understand. If you're just doing a ground up build, you said you're new to mock building, this might be a better solution. So don't feel like you have to do this. You have a lot of room here to do. You know, you got this wall. This is going to be a little tricky up here. You got a wall here. So if it's too much, I totally understand. I just wanted to show you how I would approach it, and hopefully, whether you use it or not, this could be a great learning experience for some of you out there to see how to do, how to use these masonry bricks on their side, which is kind of tricky. I mean, it does, like I said before, requires a very good knowledge of SNOT and LDU techniques. Well, I hope you guys like this video. If you like this video, please like and subscribe. I do more just like this in the future. And if you have a Lego problem you want help with, feel free to email me, bricksculpt.chris@gmail.com. I'll take a look at your problem. If I think I can come up with a solution that I like and I think it'll be helpful for others, I'll do a video on it. That's all I have for this time, and we will see you next time.